Brainstorming and sharing ideas is the funnest part of the creative process. We decided to skip the boring part of actually making stuff and just do the fun part. I'm your host, Tom Walma.
Oh, I'm Jeffrey Scott.
I'm Abby Lemke.
And I am the Beeve Man.
And this is Creativity Wasted.
My nobody steal this, whoever's listening to this, but this is my pitch. The scene opens on a young man walking through a pull-out door. He walks into what looks like a martial arts dojo. On the one side, we see a strapping Latino older gentleman throwing people around as if they're not even there, and the young man shakes his head in pride. That's my dad. But he had bad news. You see, he was being drafted. They brought back the draft. And so all the young people were going to fight in some stupid orange piece of shit's war. But the parents decided that wasn't going to happen this time. Basically, what happens is parents decide no to the draft, and they make a deal. They assemble a team of
robots.
Old people.
Of ex-military special operations people who are all friends with each other. You've got the overweight sniper who can still shoot better than anybody. You've got the jacked older Latino guy. That's me. Who's the team leader, who's a weapons specialist. You've got the mixed martial artist specialist. And then basically you show them in a montage of them going through training and doing better than everybody else. And
they're not getting injured during the training?
No, because they do the training smart as opposed to doing it stupid. It does end up where they actually don't, but they prove that all the parents can take the place of the children and the parents go to war. But then it ends up where they actually defeat the enemy and then they take over the country and get rid of the orange piece of shit.
I was thinking that you were going to say you were going to create like AI robots to send instead of like when you get drafted, send the robot instead of the kid. But they think it's such a good robot. I think it's the kid.
I'm afraid that somebody's going to listen to this podcast and send the MAGA army after us.
So wait, so they do the Orange Man's war, but then they go and then they defeat him. So they do both sides.
Yeah, I mean the war that we're actually fighting is really it's going to be more of a sci-fi type war. In other words, it's not against other humans. So it's a justified war, but we're tired of them taking our children because let's say this war could have been prevented, but the orange piece of shit made it worse. So the war did occur and then they win, but then they go back and take out the what I like to call the orange piece of shit.
But the orange piece of shit, doesn't he convince all of his followers that he actually won the war and that
so then he goes down as like a great hero.
Yeah.
Like, he gets his what do you call it? Martyr moment.
Martyrdom, yeah.
So it backfires.
It is possible, but in this scenario, if it's, if I'm going all out, I'm eliminating all enemies, both foreign and domestic, as per the oath that I took.
See, I would be afraid, just to keep shitting on your idea. You'd send a bunch of old people to war, but there's all this like high-tech weaponry, and they can't even figure out how to turn the screen on. And
they might not be able to do that, but
obliterated.
They're still able to do. If it's anything to do with war, there's a bunch of old people that know a whole heck of a lot about the new stuff because they actually read about it. And some of them actually do still stay in shape. And some of them that don't stay in shape have skill sets that not everybody else has, which is kind of why I want my chubby older guy who's like, struggling through basic training, but then nobody can shoot as well as him. Fun stuff like that.
Could it be like there was like an electromagnetic pulse and like all the fancy high-tech weapons are just gone?
That's a good spin too, for sure.
Now the
they
old
can't
people
use all the laser range finders, can't use all the fun stuff. Yeah.
So all the young people just don't know what to do. And the old people who know how to drive stick shifts and everything, they can fight.
I think old people are smarter than young people.
That's why the young people fight wars. What they do is they recruit you when you're young. They do it through media. They make the commercials look really good. This is me just personally, right? The Vietnam War wasn't that long ago. Panama just happened. The Gulf War is about to kick off. You've grown up watching Platoon. You've grown up watching Predator, Commando, all the Stallone movies, all those things, and playing in the woods with your friends, playing war from the time you're a little boy and could hold a stick.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're 16, 17, 18, when your testosterone is highest and you are a blind, weapon just waiting to be shaped and formed, what happens? You go in the military. It's not 35-year-olds who never served that join the military. Because if they did, it would be a totally different thing. But you take an 18-year-old that's the highest their testosterone's ever going to be. That's the strongest they're ever going to be. And you're going to mold them and shape them into what you want them to be.
Makes sense.
Fun times.
Yep.
And that's why the old men start the wars and the young men fight them.
And then they promise you get to use all this fancy weaponry and kill shit and blow stuff up. It's very enticing to a young man.
Yeah.
Would you be drafting the old people or just volunteer?
No, volunteers.
Oh, okay. I would be okay with sending old people off to war.
What's interesting is, it's a silly premise it's a silly movie, but
My
I used to
boss,
take
he's
care of,
just
I've taken
gone.
care of a lot of veterans over the years as, as a provider. And as a veteran myself, we always talk about that because it's common. And not one of them, every time that we have anything that's some stupid skirmish, all of them are like, I'd go tomorrow if they wanted me to go.
There was an interesting story not too long ago. I think it was during the Gulf War. So,
a couple of years ago.
Not too long ago.
right.
Gulf War.
They were talking. The article was talking about how these people are coming back from the Gulf War, and they have such a hard time readjusting. And they have in all the wars, Vietnam. You come back from this foreign battlefield where you're an important person, and you're in some cases operating this multi-million-dollar pieces of machinery, and you bond with people under those circumstances so well that you come back to the United States and you're nobody again. You can't use the skills that you learned in the battlefield back here, and you're separated from these guys that you bonded with, and the people that you are around don't understand your experience. And a lot of these guys want to go back to war. And they were talking about the Gulf War. A lot of them wanted to go back into combat because they wanted that experience. They wanted to be back with guys who understood what they're going through, and they loved the bonding and being important or feeling important.
Because nobody's important.
We're all important in different ways.
So is there a rule where like you're too old and you can't fight, like in like a combat role? Like they won't let you if you want to?
I think it depends on what type of job it would be. Like if you're 89 and haven't had cataract surgery, I don't think you should be like a fighter pilot. That's probably
No, I mean in real life too. Like if you, the Beeve Man, said, "Okay, I wanted to."
If I had my way, honestly, I would say you can't join the military until you're at least 25.
Well, and the modern military is different than it used to be. Now, I shouldn't say they're privatizing a lot of military, because I don't think they're privatizing combat, but, supply chains are being privatized. Manufacturing is no longer, not all government, it's private, arms manufacturers and private security, things like that accompany troops overseas, the combat troops, and even, the combat stuff. Now you've got stuff that's more like, what do you call them? The drones. There's the air combat is a lot of drone missions. I can't imagine you got to be very physically adept to do, or at least not as much as a foot soldier or pilot needs to be, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know what they do now. I don't know what those youngins do.
Yeah.
What branch of military did you serve?
The Army.
When were you discharged?
98.
Okay, so it's been a year or two. It's been a minute.
I cannot believe that you're 51. Like, what?
52 in 2 months.
I think the gray gives it away a little bit in the beard. Other than that, yeah, you can't really.
I thought it was
Would
a
you
fashion
believe I'm only
choice.
36, Abby? Wow, did that get a burst of laughter?
You're a jokester.
Yes.
So here's a bad thought that is probably going to offend everybody. So if you have a bunch of old dudes and you have a bunch of young women, they're both like they can't lift 500 pounds. They're like equivalent in strength, right?
Says who?
Yeah, I don't know about the whole women thing.
And then you have like
I mean, like, what's the age range on these dudes? Okay, so I'll admit, okay, so one thing, I will admit that I'm not a typical 51-year-old. So, yeah, if you took a bunch of 51-year-olds, 50 of them, I don't know that more than maybe 15 will be good to go. But doesn't mean the other ones don't have a skill set. So, and now if you're talking about like an octogenarian and some women that have to lift something, I would assume that probably the women are going to do the lifting. But there are women in combat forces now, so there's plenty of tough women out there.
Not tomorrow. There won't be. Not on the
well, I know that, but like in general, if you had a task that didn't need super high strength, old guys and the average woman could do it together.
I think so, because that's going to really motivate the old guy.
Dudes and the occasional woman from Game of Thrones who's really tall, they could do that. And yeah.
Well, what will be really funny is when the old guys like throw out their shoulders or whatever, trying to impress the cute little hottie that's his partner. We're like, no, honey, I got it, and snap, crackle, pop as they try to throw something on, because they're not about to be like, oh yeah, go ahead, carry my stuff. No, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I don't know if my thought was like woke or like aggressively anti-woke.
I feel like you insulted women and old people.
Yeah, it was ageist and sexist.
Okay.
But I, for one, would love to team up with some women for missions as an older guy. You have to be at least 35, though. I draw the line. Anything below that.
I might edit that out. I'm not sure.
What if you had a group of black guys and a bunch of lesbians, young lesbians? What?
So
you're questioning all your life's decisions now.
Anything else with your idea? I'm trying to tie it in with the movie The Expendables, but I can't really think of anything funny.
Well, the thing is, it's supposed to be like serious though too, because it's supposed to show that in this government that they're currently a part of, they live in this country that they live in, the biggest duty is still to their family. So they're living through all these changes, but this is where they've finally had enough, and they're like, you can't take our children. So it's supposed to be about the love of a parent for their child.
Oh,
how spoiled is the child though? Like their
Are
dad
they on the
went
naughty
to the
list?
military twice, and they're like a bum who wants to do comedy who lives in their parents' house. It's like, how are they ever going to earn their dad's respect if he fucking went to war twice?
But that was his choice to go. It was his choice to go. He was proving a point. Proving a point. Showing love for his children, but also showing that older people are of value.
I think they are.
Are they really?
I mean, up to a point.
I have a really good friend.
Exactly, man. I'm taking care of my father, and I don't know
up to a point.
One of my really good friends is 75 years old.
Yeah.
So
my father's 85, and he sleeps and shits himself, and that's about it. I think he's good only for the assisted living.
At the same time. Sleeps and shits himself at the same time.
Yeah. Yes.
Dude, how awesome would that to be, just let go and sleep shit?
Something the great thing about it is he doesn't remember any of it because he's got dementia. So what does he care?
Oh.
Anything more with your idea?
Oh boy. Yeah, it's definitely going to be rated R for extreme violence. Extreme violence. So no
Chill, we'll
children.
go NC-17, man.
Go NC-17.
Yeah.
Yeah, who cares? Only old people are gonna watch it anyway.
No, it's gonna be a
I'll
fucking
watch
awesome
it.
movie. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be sci-fi also. So I guarantee I'm
very
gonna do a bunch of
creative
fan
idea.
service shit. Like, I'll be the guy in the dojo, but when I take my dojo top off, it's gonna say like Cobra Kai on it or some shit,
Is that what it's called? The dojo top?
Yeah, the
I'm
dojo
just
top.
joking with you. Anybody have any shows or podcasts or things social medias they want to promote?
The Garage Bar Comedy Show every Tuesday night in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Woohoo!
Woohoo. Slap Your Tail Comedy open mic every third Thursday of every month at the Dormouse Theater in Kalamazoo, Michigan. We also have shows every month. Our next show is on January 24th. That's a Friday in Kalamazoo, Michigan at the Dormouse Theater, headlining Adam Minnick. And my podcast comes out every Sunday. The Slaptail Squad went on for 6 years.
Wow. The Mouse Theater is really
Nice.
cool. I've been there. It's super awesome on the inside. It's a great venue.
You definitely don't sound like a hostage reading off of a script when you say that.
No, I'm serious.
I'm doing Brewery Outre Friday at 8:30. It's usually a pretty nice venue. I've done it many times. And I'm in Toledo for the first time at Home Slice Pizza.
What day?
Sunday at 7:00.
All this coming one? Yeah, I'll be there on the 26th.
I have a few open mics. I'm doing Garage Bar, I think, next week. Or no, the week after.
I know you're on the list sometime.
This has been a production of Planet Amp Podcast, powered by Pinecast.